let's start from the beginning, Coach. Who exactly is Coach Dylan Kerr? Who is Dylan Kerr? Where were you born, bred, and so forth?
Well, I was born in Malta. My dad was in the Royal Merchant Navy, and my mum got married in Malta, and some 10 months later, I was a late arrival into this world. And once I was born, my mum moved back to Mexborough, where I've basically lived all my life until I moved to Scotland to continue my playing career. But yeah, it's been a tough journey. It's not been easy, but it's been enjoyable. It's been frustrating. I've had lots of heartache. I've had lots of rejection. But like every good person that's been rejected, if they lay down and die, then they'll die. If they bounce back up and get on with it, then you never know what doors are going to open and where your future lies.
Absolutely. Now, growing up, any siblings?
Yeah, I've got a brother, Scott, and a sister. My sister's called Kerry. They're younger than me. My brother's 49, my sister's 50. And my sister's emigrated to Canada. My brother's still living at home, living in Mexborough. And I've got 2 nieces, Alex and Savannah. And Savannah gets married next year, so that's going to be one hell of a party.
Absolutely. And Dylan Kerr, growing up, what type of a person were you, personality-wise? Were you troublesome, or were you always on the training ground trying to make it as a footballer? Just your upbringing as a young man.
I was just a football daft kid as a youngster and as a teenager. I've got fiery red hair and I got freckles, and my nickname at school was Lemsip. I don't know why Lemsip. I think it's somebody called me that and it stuck. And they called me another one at high school, which was don't know if I can say dildo at high school. So that nickname stick with me. But no, my dad was a pitman. He worked down in the mines, in the coal mines. He followed his dad and he followed his great granddad in the pit service, which also my mum's parents, my granddad from my mum's side, he was in the pits, and all his family, my mum's family, were working down the pits. So I think that's something that I didn't want to do. And my dad used to play Sunday football for the local pub team, Saturday for the local amateur team, and right from the early ages, I remember I was mascot at 5 years old, and I went to pick up the trophy as a mascot, and that kind of hooked me into, following my dream of wanting to be a footballer. Because my dad used to take me to watch Leeds United as a youngster, and he used to put me on a milk crate, or a beer crate, so I could look over the wall.
Yeah. And
he used to leave me with some strange kids while he went into the cop. And joined all his friends and enjoyed the football, and that's when I got the bug, when I was watching the likes of Billy Bremner, Peter Lorimer, Joe Jordan, and Alan Clark, just to name a few. So yeah, that's when the football started.
Yeah. And did you always believe that you'd make it pro, or was just a case of your dad, your granddad also having played? Did you always believe that you'd also make it pro?
No, I mean, in England there's a thing called it's a blue form. So if you, for instance, my teams were in our area were Rotherham United, Barnsley, Sheffield Wednesday, Sheffield United, Doncaster Rovers, and then you got on the outside you got Leeds United, you got Hull City, you got Nottingham Forest, Notts County. So they were the clubs that you were trying to, be affiliated to, and unfortunately I just wasn't good enough. I wasn't able to break into their youth setup, and I was told from the age of 13 that I was not good enough. I would never be a footballer. I was told by a lot of coaches in local leagues that I couldn't play for their team because I'm not good enough, and I'll never be good enough. So I never really had the opportunity that a lot of my friends and teammates I used to play against, age 13, 14, 15, where they were affiliated to a football club. Because then, if you signed for like Sheffield Wednesday at 14, you were tied them for 2 years. And at the end of them 2 years, they would say, yes, you were going to get an apprentice professional for 2 years, or you were released. I never had that opportunity, and I always believed in myself, and I don't take rejection very, very easily. I like to prove people wrong, and I ended up at 16 years old getting an opportunity, and I grabbed it with both hands, and I never looked back.
Now let's speak about those 3 years of rejection. 13, you got a contract at 16. How did you deal with it? How did you personally deal with the rejection? Who was there for you to support you? And how was that period of rejection over the 3 years?
It was tough because you always had favourite teams as a young kid who you wanted to play for, and all your friends were playing for them teams as well. So my schoolmates were playing for different teams, and you wanted to be part of that. And when I'd go on trial, they said, "Look, sorry, son, you're not good enough for this team." And I always had my mum was my backbone for my playing career. She was always there to say, "Listen, son, don't listen to him. Just keep going." Obviously, my dad was my hero as a kid. Watching him and his friends, they were my heroes. There were no names. They never played professional.
Yeah.
They were just born workers that played and enjoyed the game of football, which is something I've taken in my career. But at 14, I went to a team called Rockingham, and they had the best team and the best players, and I wanted to be part of that. And the secretary of the team, Mr. Riggs, I can't remember his name. I know he's Mr. Riggs. I know his son was Stephen. He said to me that I will never ever in a month of Sundays be a footballer. I'm chasing a pipe dream, and that really drove me to try and prove. I like proving people wrong. If people say I'm not good enough or people say I can't do, then I'm a can-do person, and I'll go and try and do it. And if I can't do it, I'll find a way of doing it. And if it means speaking to the people that can guide me and help me, then that's the way I do it. I don't like just sitting down and thinking, well, I'm going to blame everybody else, because at the end of the day, it's my life, it was my career, and up until the day that I actually got spotted, I actually thought I was done as a footballer.
But now, a couple of times you've been told about rejection. Was there any particular reason why all of them coaches were telling you that you're not good enough, you never make it as a footballer? Was there any particular reason, or it's just that, well, you'll never make it and get out of our faces?
Yeah, I think that's what it was. I just think that my face didn't fit. I've always been a happy-go-lucky kid, and I said I'm always helpful. I'm always doing things for other people, especially as a young boy. But no, I just don't think I fit into that mould. I wasn't the kind of person they wanted to be affiliated with that club. I was a top goal scorer in youth football, in schools football, in Saturday afternoon football, Sunday afternoon football. I played basically Wednesdays for the school, Saturday mornings for the school, Saturday afternoons for an under-18s team, even though I was 14. Sunday mornings I played, Sunday afternoons I played. So I just wanted to play football, but because I was scoring goals. I was an attacking midfield player, and I was scoring goals for fun. But like I say, if your face doesn't fit in a club, then it's very, very hard to get into that.
Absolutely. We are in conversation, or we're having a very great chat with Swallows FC head coach. He is Coach Dylan Kerr, just telling us about his upbringing, and it's going to be quite interesting. And if you've got any questions, do send them through on Twitter as well, at the BOGARTMAN, as well as on Twitter page at BOGARTMAN Radio. So it's going to be interesting. It is interesting chat, and speaking about the rejection that he scored as a youngster, we are quickly going to take one of the songs that he's requested us to play for him. I'm sure he's going to be a bit jolly in studio as we play the song. I think it really reminds him of a couple of years ago. But just let's take a listen to the song that he's chosen.
I loved Elvis, and it's my favourite song. It's my favourite karaoke song, and if anybody wants to come to Bailey's tonight in Bedford View, I'm sure I'll be singing that tonight on karaoke. But it's one of my mum's favourite songs. But it's my favourite song because I had a dream, and if you dream and it comes true, then life's better for you, and life's better for people around you, and you help a lot of people as well. So if I've got a dream, I wish anybody out there that if they've got a dream, follow that dream, and it will come true.
Absolutely, Coach. And let's now talk about your first professional contract. How old were you? Which club was it, and why did it mean so much to you?
Well, like I said, I didn't get spotted by anybody, but my dad, he was coaching a team called Swinton Athletic Football Club, and he called me in the morning and said, "Listen, son, I need you to play today." And I said, "No, Dad, I'm not playing." I didn't want to play. I would rather go to the football match. I think Barnsley were playing Sheffield Wednesday, and I wanted to go to that. And he said, "Look, son, I need you to come and play." So I ended up playing, and after the game, our physio, he was about 85, and his best friend, who was a former Sheffield Wednesday scout, he said, "Look to me, would you like a trial at Sheffield Wednesday? And I was like, wow, yes, please. And a week later, I was invited to Sheffield Wednesday to train for pre-season. And it went from there. You know, I got offered a 1-year apprentice professional contract, which was government-based. It was a government scheme that allowed me to be a semi-professional footballer, an apprentice professional footballer, sorry. And yeah, I signed professional forms at 17. You know, I was one of the youngest players to shine for Sheffield Wednesday, and my dream had come true. You know, but then a year later, my dream became an absolute disaster, and it's no fault of my own, but it was my fault. You know, and I ended up being released from Sheffield Wednesday, and I thought my career was over.
Now let's talk about that. You being released, what was the reason? What was the main reason for you to be released from the football club?
I became a professional footballer and thought I was a superstar without even playing a game. You know, I was a Sheffield Wednesday player. I'd got the card, I got the suit. I was paid a decent salary. I became I don't know what I could call it, a superstar without being a super or a star. I got trapped in that environment of being a footballer, which was going out and getting drunk and sleeping with lots and lots of girls and doing things off the field rather than on the field. Even though I thought I was doing okay on the field, my off-the-field antics were a lot more crazy. I mean, I was a 17-year-old kid and I was going out drinking with all these big superstars of music, like from the Human League, ABC, Heaven 17, who were the Sheffield groups. I met so many pop stars from going to parties that, you know, yes, I've no regrets. I mean, I had a great teenage up until I was 18. I had a great life as a player, but I never played a game for Sheffield Wednesday, only in the reserves and in the youth team. And my world came crushing down when I got told I wasn't going to get offered a new contract. And then when I left, I actually handwrote 91 letters to the rest of the other football teams asking for trials, and I got 7 replies, and I never got offered a contract from either of them.
Now, was it a case of you being young, you know, doing what you've been doing for a year, you know, acting like a superstar off the pitch? What was it? Youth exuberance? Was it a mentality of here I am, I've arrived?
Yeah, it was. It was like, I didn't think, once I'd signed professional football terms, I thought that was me for life. I was going to be a professional footballer forever. Just had to bide my time until I got into the first team. But the reality was, you know, even though it's a small world, it's a big coaching world when you're in an area where everybody knows you, everybody knows what you're doing, and like I said, I have no regrets. You know, I cried for 2 weeks after I got released, but I was partying Monday nights, Wednesday nights, Saturday nights, Sunday afternoons, Sunday nights. I mean, I was acting like this superstar footballer because I was allowed to, you know, and I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it. I have done things with women that a 17-year-old could never ever imagine doing it. I don't think any adult could imagine doing what I did as a youngster. But, you know, the powers that be, the manager and the coaches decided that, you know, it was I'd had more off the field things going on than on the field, and I got released. I got told that, you know, I wasn't getting another contract, and like I said, for 6 months I went to 7 different clubs training, desperate for a contract, and none of them offered me anything. And then obviously I came to South Africa.
Coming to South Africa as a youngster, I mean, for you, here you are, never been to a foreign country before, well, South Africa or Africa, if you like. What was your first experience when you touched down, you know, at the airport, and here you are looking for a pro contract, and you don't know where to go? Or did you have an agent at that time who really helped you to?
No. Mike Lenigan, who was a youth team coach at Sheffield Wednesday, he phoned me up, and he was best friends with, it was Stan Laporte, who was the Arcadia manager. He was his best man in the 70s when they both played out here. Michael played for Bloemfontein Celtic, and obviously Stan was at Arcadia, and Stan was looking for a left winger, and I was playing left back. Michael said, no, we've got the perfect guy. And they phoned me on the Thursday, And I asked me if I'd be interested, and I said, can I have a couple of days to think about it? He said, no, they're going to phone you tomorrow and fly you out for the weekend, because the BP Top 8, which is now the MTN 8, it was the quarterfinals, or it was the last 16, and I had to get on a flight. And my mum and dad were very, very sceptical about me going. And the day after, I was watching news at 10, and there was a dispute with the NSL and the NPSL, as it used to be.
Yep.
And I think, I don't know if it was the Pirates or Swallows or the Chiefs chair or somebody, got stabbed, I think, 87 times at Ellis Park Stadium.
Goodness, yeah.
And my mum and dad are looking at me and saying, you're not going. And
yeah.
so I was only 18, never left home. And I said, no, Mum, I'm committed, I'm going to go. And I flew over on SAA, the best service carrier ever in the 80s and 90s,
Yeah.
unlike it is today. And I arrived, and Sammy Troughton met me at the airport. Never met him, never heard of him. He met me at the airport. I remember it was like 90, 100 degrees, and driving to Pretoria. And I was homesick for about 2-3 weeks. But Sammy took me out to a nightclub called Limelight, which is called Presley's now in Pretoria. And he said, listen, stop feeling that you need to be home. This is South Africa. You'll love this country. The people are great. The lifestyle's great. You've got all the weather. And you're living in a nice house with a nice car. And, the club are really, really, excited that you're here. And that's when I started to enjoy my football in Pretoria and for Arcadia Shepherds.
Yeah. And now, when you played for Arcadia Shepherds, here you are, 18, 19 years of age. Who were the superstars that you played with, and how was it being in that environment of senior superstars in South African football?
Well, it was weird because obviously we were white players, and Deshi Baktawa was the goalkeeper, and George Magia was the only black player that actually played. We had another one called Pro, but I can't remember his surname. There was only one coloured and two black players in our team.
Yep.
You'd got Paddy Hall, Mike Lambert, John Salter, Trevor Klein, Mark Seligman. You got Sammy Troughton. You got Robbie de Graaf. You got the legendary Noel Cousins, Trevor Poole, Mike Jabert, Ricky Ferguson. Graham Gordon, God rest his soul. Andy Senzik, God rest his soul. Rodney Bush came for a while. They were great players. They were competitive, and it was very hard to get in that team because you had to play at your best ability because everybody was doing that. And I'll always remember when we used to pick two teams for a five-a-side at the end of training. Mike Lambert and Paddy Hall were both the first picks because back in the day, Mike Lambert and Paddy Hall were the craziest, nastiest players off the ball, but they were so good professionals. They were so nice, and they had a reputation of really, really going hard and hurting people, and players were scared of them, because of that reputation. But off the field, they were so nice. They were brilliant. But in five-a-sides, if you were captain, you made sure you either had Paddy Hall on your side or Mike Lambert.
Absolutely. Now, when you hear you are Arcadia Shepherds Football Club, playing for the club, training with them, do you remember what your first salary was at Arcadia Shepherds? What was it a lot? Were you happy with it?
No, it was just what they offered. It was 900 rand a month, plus accommodation, plus one flight back home at the end of the season. And I think we got a bonus of 30 rand for a win. I think it was 30 rand, a win bonus. Saul Sachs, the chairman, was an absolute pleasure to work for. Stan and John Latham were great managers and coaches together. And like I said, we had such a good camaraderie. And that's the thing I learned at Sheffield Wednesday. We didn't always have the best team, but we had the best players.
Mm-hmm.
We had the camaraderie, we had the laughter, we had the jokes, we had the seriousness, we had the whole package. And I took my first coaching license at 18 in South Africa for Arcadia Shepherds. And I used to coach Mark Fish and Lucas Radebe and Paul Matthews, who's now at Supersport. And it was a pleasure to work for that, core of players and that team. And we had two of the best strikers, two of the quickest strikers in football in the NSL in them days, in Noel Cousins and Trevor Poole. training was a pleasure. Going to games was a pleasure, and we were really, really. And remember, we couldn't play in Pretoria; we had to play in Attridgeville.
Yeah.
We were barred from playing in Pretoria. Because obviously Kaiser Chiefs wrecked the place for one game, and it was apartheid, and there was things that were difficult to understand as an 18-year-old. But it was an eye opener to being with people that love the sport, love the game. And like I said, as an 18-year-old, I used to go to Attridgeville, Mamelodi, Easterus, Laudium. I used to go to all the shebeens. We used to go and drink with the local people, and because we were footballers, we gave back. We tried to give back something back to the community by just being there, being in the places. And there were times when we wouldn't go home till 4, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning, because people just wanted us there. They just wanted to talk football. And I was fortunate. I played against some legendary players: Jomo Sono, Professor Ungabani, Ethan Slengwi, Mark Smapanyani, who was the dirtiest player ever. Mark, sorry, I'm going to tell you. Mark used to leave his studs in when the ball wasn't there. The list can go on. Obviously, Gary Bailey, and you've got Shane McGregor.
Yeah.
You've got all these top players. Gavin Hunt, Pizzo.
Yeah.
In 1986, I came second in the Player of the Year. Mark Anderson won it. I came second. I think Thomas Longwani came third, and I think Pizzo came about 8th or 9th. So and it was my first year in the country.
Yeah.
I love that affiliation that I had with the supporters. Ellis Park was always packed. The Rand Stadium was packed. Orlando Stadium was packed. Attridgeville was always full. I mean, you as an 18-year-old kid again, you can't imagine having the rejection of leaving Sheffield Wednesday, coming to a country which you never knew much about, being in the post-apartheid era, and not understanding it, but becoming part of that culture of Black Africa.
Yeah.
And I loved every minute of it from my teenage years till I was 20 when I left.
Absolutely. Now, when you left, I just want to fast forward here. Leeds United. I mean, that's one of the biggest clubs in world football. Of course, they've had a bit of a demise, in recent years, but they are now trying to come back to the elite sports or football, if you like. But Leeds United, here they were playing Champions League football year in, year out. And when you were at the club, they were really, really super houses of world football. How was it for you, to play for that football club at the time?
I was lucky. Howard Wilkinson was at Sheffield Wednesday when I signed, and when I got released, and then when he joined Leeds United. When I used to go home at Christmas and New Year, I used to train at Sheffield Wednesday. Then he went to Leeds, and I phoned him up and said, "Look, can I come and train with you at Leeds United?" And he said, "Yes, with pleasure." But before I left, I'd met Kaiser and Ted Dimitru in the the Vodacom building, the round building in town,
Johannesburg, yeah.
And we'd agreed to, they were going to buy me from Arcadia. I'd agreed to move, and I went home to enjoy Christmas and New Year with my family, as I did the previous 2 years. But I trained at Leeds United, and out of the blue, I'll cut the story short. Excuse me. When I was leaving to come back to South Africa on the Monday, on the Thursday, I said goodbyes to the club. And of course, I asked him if I was going to get a contract, and said no, but you've done brilliantly. Go back to South Africa. And then I played a game for a non-league team, and the manager heard about it. And Sunday night, he told me not to go back to South Africa. I was going to sign for Leeds United.
Oh, goodness me. I think there'll definitely be a lot of questions around that. It is exactly 1:30. It's time for news with Neo. So we are going to be taking news with, and after this, we'll continue.
All right.
The head coach of Swallows FC, he was telling us about, his contract that he signed with Leeds United, I think almost, 2 decades ago. Coach, you're back to it as well. Here you are, a young lad signing for Leeds United. Just your feelings, and what did this contract mean to you personally?
Well, it was a hard decision, really, because I'd agreed to sign for Kaiser Chiefs, and I never expected in a million years that Leeds United would offer me a contract. And I'd already packed, I was ready to go, and then obviously I turned up for Leeds and I signed an 18-month contract, and that's when my career started off again. 3 years before, disappointment, but I'd always believed that I'd be able to do it again. Again, I don't take rejection lightly. I make sure that, if I can do what I can do and I do it well, then things happen, and that's what I did. I played, I think, 6 reserve games while I was training at Leeds United, but I was told I wasn't going to be offered a contract. But by luck, I played a game for a non-league team, and I got rave reviews, and Howard Wilkinson phoned me up and said, cancel your flight, you're coming back to, you're going to sign for Leeds United. So I had to phone Stan, Mr. Sachs and Kaiser and say, look, I've been offered this contract at Leeds United, and they gave me the blessing, and I thanked everybody that I could do in South Africa, Sammy, my players, my teammates and the staff for bringing me into South Africa and making me a better player, making me a better person, because I grew up here. I became, watching the skills that Teenage Ladley used to do and Marks Mpiana used to do, and my all-time hero, and it's no disrespect to Ace and Jomo, Professor Ungubane could do things with a ball that just blew me away, and I'm still trying to. When I see him and I speak to him, I'm asking him, how did he do that, and what did he do with that, and and it's still great to see all these players that I used to play against, and it's great to see some have stayed in football, some have remained in the game, some of them have drifted out of it, and a lot of them have passed away, which is sad, but it's great that we're still in contact.
Yeah, but were you a bit upset that you didn't sign for Kaizer Chiefs? I mean, we know the magnitude of Kaizer Chiefs, but here you are, given an opportunity out at Leeds. But do you have any regrets for not signing for Kaizer Chiefs?
No, I mean, like I say, it was an offer. It was great to meet Ted and Kaiser himself. It was a great conversation, and like I said, I'd gone home, knowing that I was coming back to sign for Amakosi. But it just didn't happen, that offer to play at Leeds United. Remember, I'd screwed up my football career when I was a youngster by doing things that I shouldn't have done, enjoying myself too much, and I'd got the opportunity to go back, and again, it was something that I'd always dreamed of doing. I never believed it was going to happen there and then, but it did, and like I say, I've always lived with no regrets. I should have sent. There's a song I should have sent you, and I remembered it when I was driving here. It's Robbie Williams, "No Regrets." I should have sent you that one, because that's what I've lived with. I've had one regret in life, and that's getting married.
I think we'll get into that as well. And now, Coach, I just want to also, fast forward your career because of time. We are pressed for time. We've got about 19 minutes left. Now, for you to going towards the end of your career, I understand that you retired from professional football. I think your last football club was Hamilton or Quillington Rangers, was it?
No, Hamilton Kilwinning Rangers were in the junior league, so it was Hamilton Academicals. I retired early. I retired at 32. I got groin injuries. I got a hamstring injury. And I'd always wanted to be a coach, and I took my first license in 2001, and my partner at the time, we work in twos, was a guy, I think it's called the Special One. I don't know, I think it's Jose something.
Mourinho.
Yeah, that's the man. And I thought I was going to be a coach as easy as anything, and unfortunately I failed, and I'm glad I failed because I wasn't ready. But that's when I got really started to get into the coaching side of things, and I'd obviously been coaching under 16s, under 17s, under 18s at Kilmarnock, at Hamilton, at Reading, and at Leeds. I was working with the youth team squad, so the coaching was in me. And when I got offered a position offered the chance to do my license, I failed, and again. The heads of the Scottish Football Association, again, didn't think I was good enough, didn't think I would be able to do it, didn't think I was worthy of being a football coach. And if anybody tells me that, then I'm after them. I'll make sure that I prove them wrong. And then in 2005, that's when I actually finished my A license and qualified as a professional football coach.
Yeah. Now here you are on the African continent. I mean, I just want to speak about Simba. I mean, that's a massive, massive, massive club. And for you to sign, and this is a team that's playing Champions League football year in, year out, African Champions League, that is. And here you are, managing one of the biggest clubs on the African continent. How did that deal come about? And how was your stay out at Simba?
Well, what happened is when I came to South Africa in 2009, that's the first time I'd been back since 1988. I came back to work with Sammy Troughton at Black Aces. And then I met Paul Mitchell, who's now my agent from Siavuma Sports, and at Lucas Maripi, and he's from Doncaster, and I'm just down the road from him in Maxwell, basically 10 kilometres away. We got talking and we struck up a relationship. When I left Black Aces, I went to Tanda and then I went to Nati Lions. We're now no longer in existence.
Yep.
And then Paul asked me if I'd go to Vietnam. So I went to Vietnam for 3 years. Then I came back and I got offered the job at Gor Mahia and I turned that down. And then Paul got me an opportunity to go to Simba. And I enjoyed the football side of things at Simba. They were brilliant. And the fans, no disrespect to Chiefs, Pirates or any fans in Africa, but the Simba fans are just absolutely out of this world. They're everywhere. They're everywhere in Tanzania. And the stadiums are always full, and if they're not full, people are outside listening to the sound of the crowd. And I enjoyed the 6 months I was there with the players, but obviously off the field there was many issues. The people that controlled the club, and it just didn't work out. It just didn't work out, and I left just after New Year. So I think I'd been there 7 months, but we'd got different priorities. You know, I had to win the league. They wanted to win this Mapinduzi Cup, which was a mid-season break of a tournament in Zanzibar, which was brilliant.
Yeah.
Which was brilliant, but they felt that they had to win that, and I was concentrating on the league and the local cup.
And 7 months you left Simba, and after a couple of months you signed for another big club that is Gor Mahia, and you also played Champions League or CAF Confederations Cup with them. The experience thereof? Oh,
brilliant. I mean, I had a great chairman. The chairman there was, it was night and day compared to the chair. Well, there were chairmen at Simba. I think there was 8 people that controlled that club, but Ambrose Rachia at Gor Mahia was absolutely a dream to work for. He let me do my job, he let me get on with it, and we won back-to-back league titles, and we qualified for CAF. We got beaten we got knocked out by the eventual winners, which was Esperance, and we should have beat Esperance both home and away. It just didn't happen. And then I got offered a position at Polokwane City, and I'd initially agreed, but then at the last minute, out of respect for my chairman at Gor Mahia, I turned them down. I said, look, I apologise, but I feel like I owe my chairman a bit more respect to stay and finish the job at Gor Mahia. And when I did finish the job, we'd won the league again. We played Everton at Goodison Park, which was the first African team to play outside of Africa in the Premier League, I believe, at the time. And I got a phone call from Black Leopards, and they asked me if I'd come and join them, and I spoke to the chairman, and he gave me his blessing. He says, "Yep, you've done your job here. Go and try and do what you do well in South Africa," and that was me coming back.
Yeah, and let's talk about Black Leopards. I mean, here is a football club that was really, season in, season out, struggling to be in the league, and you arrive at a football club. There's a lot of noise. Obviously with what you've done the previous season out at Gor Mahia, the players there, they love you, they kiss you, they caress you, they play for you, and that's one thing that I've actually picked up and spoken to a couple of players at Swallows, yesterday and the day before, in regards to how you manage players and all those players, they speak highly of you. But going back to Black Leopards, and I think, and most South African, sports lovers do understand that you should have stayed there for a bit longer time. How was your stay at Black Leopards? And Musonda, you made him one of the key and important players for Leopards at that time. I think he was finished off at the leading goal scorer. So how was your stay at Black Leopards, and why was it so short? I think a season.
No, it was half a season. I came just after Christmas, and they were bottom of the league, and Musonda had only scored 1 goal, I think, and my first game against Wits, I was in the stand, and I could see Musonda's body language, and it was all wrong, and his mindset was all wrong. His shoulders were down, he didn't smile, he didn't look happy. And as we came off the pitch losing 1-0, I said to Musonda, listen, if you trust me and you believe in me and believe in yourself, I'll make you the top goal scorer. And at the end of the season, he got the golden boot. But my mum was dying. My mum was really, really ill, and she was only given, at the end of the season, when I went home, she was only given a couple of weeks to live, but she managed to live for another 6 months, which was fantastic for me. And I was coming back, obviously, but I decided for once, I'd put my mum first, rather than football, because I've been very selfish in my life. It's always been football, and I've been away from home since 2009. I've only seen my mum a couple of weeks a year. And I just felt I wanted to be with her, and I called David and I said, listen, I'm not coming back, which was fine. We didn't. There's no animosity. It would have been nice to stay there and take him, to the next level, because of the players that we had, the players that wanted to play for me and the team. But unfortunately, and my mum passed away in September 2019. So I was glad I was home. It would have killed me if I'd have been here and I'd have got a phone call saying your mum had died. So I made the right decision then. And then I wasn't even looking, and I went to America. I spent Christmas and New Year in. My plan was to spend Christmas and New Year in America, and then I got a phone call from Paul saying on Christmas Day, can you get a flight tomorrow back to England because we need you here by the 29th. So I flew from Arizona to Manchester, to Heathrow. Heathrow, I got a train home. Then I got packed. I spent a day back in England. Then I got the train back down to Heathrow and flew to South Africa and signed for Barocca on the 29th.
Yeah, and when you signed for Barocca, I think I actually spoke to you before you signed the contract with Barocca, and you didn't say anything. Well, that's what coaches do these days in terms of honesty. But I understand that totally. And Barocca as well, I think it's also a good football club. We can see what they're doing now with the village, and it looks so professional as well. They stayed there, I think, for a season or less, but I think it was a season. Helped them, stay in the league, and that's what you've to some extent come to do, save clubs when they are in desperate need, and then for some odd reason after keeping them safe, you leave the club, or the chairman terms do not agree. But at Barocca, what actually happened for you to leave the football club?
I can't tell you that because I'm still in DRC. So my case against Barocca is still with the PSL. But obviously it was the COVID and the bubble, and we had an extraordinary end to the season. I believe that there were a pathway for me in the club, but obviously, when you're head coach, the responsibility and you're judged on results and what you do. And unfortunately, the chairman didn't think that for whatever reason that we continue working together. So. And I still can't understand why, but like I say, right now it's still with the PSL and the DRC, so I can't comment on that.
Yeah, no, absolutely, it makes sense. And now, once again, you're called in, TTM Chakuma. Here you are. You start off with really building the morale of the players. You can see once you just arrive at the football club. I mean, you play brilliant football, and Londra, he looks a totally different footballer. Pass and move. You can see that he's now confident and arrogant on the ball as well. And, you go on to win the Nedbank Cup, qualify them to play in the CAF Confederations Cup, and then you leave the football club. I think I was actually with you out in Senton when, the club was changing names, and then you...
Yeah.
Absolutely. And now, what was the challenge there for you not to stay longer?
I think it's the people that are influencing the chairman, that are trying to be his advisors, but doing it in a way that is not good for football. Where I went to that same, we were there, and they asked me about the next season. I said, I want to be challenging Sundowns. I want to be in the top 3, top 4, minimum top 8, and I believe that with the players that they had, that would have been the opportunity. And when I joined, there was lots of problems, because obviously the chairman, Mr. Sello, had bought the club from the guys TTM who brought from Wits. There was a lot of problems. There was a lot of money owed to players. The signing on fees and late payments. And I just wanted the players to play. I just wanted them to do their job.
Yeah.
And that's what I had to do. I had to give them confidence, give them belief. And Dondler was just. When he plays for himself, is an absolute disaster. When he plays for the team, he's an absolute dream. And I said to him, "You're only going to play for me if you do things that I want you to do, not what you want to do." And he changed his attitude, and he was absolutely phenomenal for me. And he got the winning goal in the Nedbank Cup. But so we had different objectives. We had different paths, and then when it came to the offer of a contract, I felt that for what I'd done to the club, and it's never about money. It's about football. I just felt that I was insulted. I didn't think they really wanted me to stay, and I think it was people other than the chairman that were advising the chairman about me. So I'm led to believe that that's what had happened. And I've got an opinion. I'm not always wrong, but I'm not always right. And when you've got an opinion, you speak to people. You've got to have dialogue. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't. If you've got something to say it to the person. Don't go and say it to somebody else, because by the time it gets to you, little things become a massive thing. And unfortunately, everybody was unhappy that I'd left TTM. But it just, that's how football works. Any regrets? No. Anything that I've taken from it, I've taken to trust myself, trust my own view, trust my own judgment, but talk to people, talk to my chairman, talk to my players, talk to my staff, talk to the fans, and feel what they're thinking. And if you can do that, then you become not only a better coach, but you become a better person to the people that you're employed by and the people that are working for you. And that's something that I learned, from an age of 16 when I started playing football. It's, I say, I actually took a break from football for 5 months. I moved to Durban.
Yeah.
I was playing golf. I was walking the beach, and I met some old people that I played with a long time ago, and met up again and became friends. And I switched off from football, and I think that was the best thing for me. Obviously I'd offered some teams in the NFD, and I'd been linked with Royal AM, and I'd been linked with Swallows before, and you're always linked with clubs. One day I hope it's going to be linked with the top 3 clubs rather than the bottom 3 clubs.
Yeah.
And it's I when I got the phone call from Swallows, I was on the beach. I was walking from Durban North to Umhlanga, and I had to run back, get packed, and get the flight to Joburg. And within 35 minutes of spending a conversation with David and the president, we shook hands on a deal. And I'm here till the end of June, hopefully, to start the new pre-season and go ahead, finally for a full season.
Yeah, but now with Swallows as well, you've spoken about the instilling that confidence in the players, similarly to what you found out at TTM. For Swallows, what is the mandate? It is just to really keep them in the top division. We've already seen over the course of the weekend you've won the Nedbank Cup. Well, went through to the last 16 of the Nedbank Cup. What is the mandate for you out at Swallows?
It's to keep them in the PSL. The Nedbank Cup's a bonus, like it were against when we played with TTM. It's to keep them in the league. Same at Barocca, same at Black Leopards, to keep the PSL status because of the financial implications if they do go down. But it's tough, because when I joined, the league kind of was a funny campaign. We had 6 games in 17 days. And how can you get to know your players' mentality, character, attitude, commitment, energy, enthusiasm, laughter? How can you judge that when you've got 6 games and not enough time to prepare, not enough time to understand the makeup of the team? And you always set a points tally out of 6 games. You want to get at least minimum 12. I believe we could have got 15. The way we played, we should have done, but we made mistakes. But because we were making mistakes, we didn't have a week to rectify them. We only had 1 day to practice, 1 day to play, 1 day to rest. And it was very, very tough for me. It was very, very difficult, because you don't find out about the person's makeup by playing games. You have to see what they're like in training. Do they work hard? Do they press? Are they able to control the ball easily? Can they clear a ball? Can they head a ball? Can they shoot? Can they cross?
Yeah.
And I never had that opportunity, only in games. And we made mistakes against Cape Town City when we were in charge. We made mistakes against Golden Arrows when we were in charge. We should have hammered Orlando Pirates. We should have beat Gallants. We should have beat Maritzburg, and we did beat Barocca. But as well as that, I spent 5 games in the stand again. For some crazy reason, it takes a long time for my visa to come through. The German comes from a foreign country, never been in South Africa, goes to TS Galaxy and gets his visa in a week. It takes me a lot longer than that, but we overcame that, and I'm glad we won on Saturday. It was a very, very tough game on a very, very difficult service because of the rains. But I hope I'm right in saying that I've got the players to believe, like I did at Black Leopards, like I did at Barocca, like I did at TTM, to believe and see how good life can be if they're successful. Because nobody likes a failure, nobody likes a loser, nobody remembers a loser for one. And I'm just trying to get into their mindset that, life's better if you're winning. Life's better if you're enjoying football. Life's better if you're healthy and you keep doing the things that you love and doing it right. And hopefully that's getting into their psyche now.
Yeah. And Coach, just before we let you go, I mean, what are your goals? What are your aspirations for, short term, obviously, until the end of the season and afterwards? Is it really to also remain with one club for at least, 3 seasons? Because, it's mostly been a season. So just your short and long term deals as Dylan Kerr.
I'd love to stay. Look, Morocco Swallows, or is it Swallows FC now? They're the oldest club in South Africa, I believe. Yes, they are. They were, when I used to play here, the Dobsonville used to be sold out wherever we played Swallows, and I never lost to Swallows, by the way. I always beat them at Arcadia, and again they had Thomas Longwani, who was a great striker, and Gavin Lane was there, and again Noel Cousins was there, Calvin Peterson was there, and that's just to name a few. But I'd like the longevity and the continuity of being with a football club, because as I've said before in the 3 previous clubs, I want to challenge Mamelodi Sundowns. I want to be there where Pirates, Chiefs, Supersport, where Stellenbosch are now, where Royal AM are now. But they've had the long season to prepare. Steve Barker's been there a long time. Maduka's been at Celtic and now he's at Royal AM a long time. You need continuity. You don't need to chop and change every 5 minutes, because that doesn't work. No top clubs in the world change managers as crazily as African countries do, where if you lose 4 games, you're fired. And that's something that needs to change, because at the end of the day, you're not kicking the ball, you're not playing the game, you're just selecting the team to go out there and give their best and do their hardest. Now, if they do that and they lose to the better team, then you could understand that. But if they lose because of other things that are happening off the field, then the onus comes down to the coach. He's the one that is in the firing line.
Unfortunately.
But I've always believed that I've got the material, I've got the knowledge, I've got the backing from people overseas. I'm forever speaking to Jose, to Howard Wilkinson, and to I get as much information from Liverpool and Man City and Arsenal, Chelsea, Reading, all these clubs. I get a lot of information, and I take a little bit that I think will help my team and my players, and I'd like to do that over not 1 year, not 2 years, but 3 years, and bring stability and bring success to that football club. Whether I'm given the time to do that, as you know, it's all results based. So keep winning. Doesn't matter how well you play, you need them 3 points. The franchise in South Africa in the PSL is a lot of money, and the chairman need that to make the club survive. And I hope one day the fans can come back and help the club, with ticket sales and selling, getting people to do what they normally used to do, which is sell, food, alcohol outside that, which is an income for them. And I just hope, the Minister of Sports and the government, will try and get the football fans back in the stadium as soon as possible. COVID rules apply, and hopefully we can move on and bring the fans back, not just doing football, but cricket, every sport. Yeah. Let's bring the fans back. We're missing them.
Absolutely. Well, that's actually the end of the big chat with S.K Phasha, as well as Swallows FC coach Dylan Kerr. Coach, absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so very much for coming. We truly appreciate it, and I think we've got stories that we would never ever read about. Thank you so very much, and I think you are now the friends of BOGARTMAN Radio, and we'll have you here a couple of more times. Thank you so very much for your time, Coach.
Thank you. I thought we were here till 12 because I've got loads of stories, loads of good ones as well.
Well, that was Coach Dylan Kerr, head coach at Swallows FC, and all the best for the rest of the season, and hopefully you can ensure that the club remains in the top division. Thank you so very much. We'll be back again next week with another episode.